Hey everyone, welcome back to this episode of Screen Time. On today's video, we'll be reviewing Final Destination Bloodlines. Now, this franchise has been around for a while. It started off in 2000 and then went on to 2003, 6, 9, and 11. So the last film that released in this franchise was in 2011, which is over a decade ago. But now they've decided to release a new installment. My kind of relationship with this nostalgia franchise is that there is none. Yeah, sorry to say, but I don't have a relationship with it. I just watched all of them over the course of the last year, and I've actually learned to dislike it. But we'll get into why in just a little bit. But yeah, so a couple weeks ago I watched 5. 5 was just the best film ever, I swear. So you might be wondering, what's my issue with the Final Destination franchise? Well, there's a few. For one, I really dislike how this film this franchise, to be honest, just doesn't have that kind of person we follow. The person we kind of root for, the person we want to survive, and we feel things for, and their friends die, and we go, oh, where? That's really sad. And then we see them in the next film, and the next one, and then they die, and then they, don't come back because they've retired, and they're living in a farm or something out of the city, and then they have a cameo appearance 3 films down the line, or they want more money in their paychecks, and then they come back after a film break. Whatever it may be, there's always that person that we follow. And unfortunately, this franchise just doesn't have that. And it really bugs me. It doesn't have that final girl or final person, whatever you want to call it, that we root for. And it just kind of makes me feel icky. I like following someone, I like rooting for someone, and the fact that you always kill everyone off is just so annoying. Later installments did find a way to make people survive, but they haven't really used it that much. They've used it to make things be more intense with death's plans, but nothing where the main person survives, or the person survives and then comes back. They kind of just survive and don't ever see them again. I swear someone survived in number 5. Never saw them again, but anyways, yeah. So you might be wondering why this kind of franchise decided to come back after all these years. Is it a cash grab? Is it more just we need to put something on the screen, or is there a reason for it? Well, in this installment, it kind of takes the Final Destination, death's coming for you, and kind of turns it up to an 11. It takes that and creates a reason for the past films, in a weird kind of legacy, a sequel to the original, but it also takes into account all of the other ones. So we have this accident, someone has a premonition in the 60s, they're gonna die. So they save 100 plus people in this accident. And over time, death comes for them, for their family, and for their family's family, and their family for their family. And then it finally gets to the final deaths of that accident, as it did it did it in order of the accident, but it took so long because there's so many people involved. And it finally got to the last one, which is who we're following in this film. So that kind of interconnectedness has not really been a thing. We've seen glimpses of interconnectedness where people have followed the story of weird accidents happening to survivors, the second one I think did that, but nothing really where it's kind of intertwined. And that was really kind of interesting to me to see, what would be intertwined, what would come back, who would come back. It was kind of fun. But the result, there's always a but, is kind of a letdown, to be honest. The initial sequence is really good, but they didn't make it clear on who from the past films were survivors. Were they the ones that had the premonitions? And, did their families get involved. Like, in the last ones, they had the airplane accident. You know, the first movie had that really shocking airplane accident. Was it the main group that were kids to them? But if they were, why didn't their parents die? Why did they only die? So was it just a random person on the plane and they were dragged into it? I don't know. The movie never explains it. To be honest, after watching number 5, I was actually quite impressed with the VFX for this one. Number 5 has shocking VFX. And when I say shocking, I kind of mean slightly above Sharknado kind of vibes. The color grading on it is just like really bad. It's really candy colored and it just takes you out of the film. You're like, oh, this is what we're doing. Interesting choices all round. And I think it was made for 3D kind of 2011. That kind of sounds about right, because like there's like blood and guts spurting out, but it's like really unrealistic and just the color grading is just off. It's just really bad. But anyways, back to the film that we're actually talking about. It's good. The whole tower sequence, whilst a bit dodgy, I wouldn't say dodgy, but very transparent that they didn't have enough money for the sequence that they wanted to do, or that they had to cut corners to do this really great sequence. And a lot of that is the exterior shots of the building, and you're like, that's not a real sunset. That's not a real skyline. But yeah. Overall, though, the VFX are really good. A lot of the kills are very solid and believable and gross, to be honest. They're really gross, which is great to see. My favourite kills in the whole thing, and I don't want to spoil too much for you. You have to go watch it. Go watch it yourself. The tower sequence. That one's really good. That could even be number 1. It's not really a ranking, it's just my 2 favourite at this point. And then the next one is the MRI sequence. The MRI sequence is really drawn out and it's really suspenseful. You know something's going to happen, but you just don't know what. And by the time that it unveils and puts all the pieces together, you're just in shock. My jaw was on the floor. Not by choice. Did not get consent for that. But yeah, so those 2 sequences are really good. A part of this franchise is the fact that they have kind of dodgy kind of acting. To say it I wouldn't say dodgy, okay? I wouldn't say dodgy, but not good. You know, a bit lackluster, very evident that they got the cheap kind of not very experienced actors to fill their main roles in the last few films in the franchise. But this one, I didn't feel it as much, surprisingly. Richard Harmon, who plays the emo guy, who turns out to have a troubled past, if you can say that, was pretty good. His chemistry was there. When he was on screen, he took focus, not in a bad way, in a good way, you know. You always want to take focus when you're an up-and-coming actor. So, you know, he took the opportunity that he was given and he used it well. It was a great kind of role for him. He stood out in the whole film. Another one was Owen Patrick Joyner, which I know from Julie and the Phantoms, which I'm so excited to see him return. It was really fun to see, and he is so baby girl. He is so cutesy, so petite, and he does a really good job in the role. It's something I didn't expect from him to be in a horror movie, but the kind of role he plays in this horror movie does kind of reflect or, you know, reminisce on his Julie and the Phantoms role. So overall, with this film, I wouldn't say I'm the fan. I wouldn't say I enjoy the franchise, but this film, standing alone, let's not take into account 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 or 1, how they've just repeated killing everyone off. Let's just watch this film. If they finished it at the prom and they both actually survived, it would be great. it'd be like, awesome, yes, this is a recommendation because they were brought together and they withstood, death. And yeah, but because they continued it and because they went the traditional route and because, everyone dies in the end, it is a bit of a letdown for me. But I would still recommend you watch it just for those two sequences that I mentioned before and for just seeing all these actors, have fun. These working actors actually be good at acting is also fun to watch because, you've seen working actors. I've seen it. I'm sure you guys have seen it where, maybe they're not ready for a leading role. But in this one, all of them were. But yeah, those are my thoughts. You can probably wait for streaming. If you're a fan of the franchise, definitely go watch. But yeah, definitely a good streaming film. But yeah, well, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Like and subscribe, but I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.